This is Larry TABB, founder and CEO of TABB Group. I'm here with Natan Tiefenbrun, Commercial Director of Turquoise. And I guess the question, Natan, is Turquoise has just fairly recently joined the LSE Group. Where will Turquoise fit within the LSE Group, and how will you differentiate yourself from the main market and from other MTFs, and where are you headed?
So good broad,
good
broad question. So first of all, it's been 14 weeks since the LSE Group acquired a majority stake in Turquoise. So the LSE Group has 51%, 49% is owned by 12 of the large investment banks. I could probably read into your question, what is the LSE Group doing? Why did it buy Turquoise? So
yeah. I also had just bought Millennium IT as well.
Sure. So we have a new CEO at the LSE Group, Xavier Rollet, who's been in the industry many years. I think the LSE has recognised that perhaps the era of national vertical exchanges is coming to an end, and market participants are sending a clear signal, which is that they want pan-European markets, that they want fast, efficient technology, that they like the low-cost model. MTFs have been successful, and Turquoise was relatively successful before the LSE bought it. Mm-hmm. Chi-X and BATS have enjoyed some success, and I think Xavier is saying, well, let's give the market what it wants. So we want to be a pan-European group. And I think the LSE Group, of course, its aspirations are far bigger than Turquoise. It wants to be a pan-European group, not just for listing, for secondary trading, for clearing.
Yeah, well, Borsa Italiana, 2-3 years ago?
Sure. So, and I think Turquoise perhaps is has two main purposes, or more. But it helps the LSE become that pan-European business, and of course, it still has plenty of work to do to reduce its cost base, perhaps improve its competitive position in UK and Italian markets. But Turquoise allows it to participate from right now as a pan-European business. And also it puts the LSE Group into a very close partnership with its big customers again. And
True.
It's kind of ironic that all of the European markets went through a demutualization. They became public companies. The banks and brokers sold their equity and then became disenfranchised. That they saw exchanges behaving in a profit maximizing way, which of course is what public companies do after all. Mm-hmm. And I think they realized, well, actually there were some benefits to that mutualized model. And so Turquoise is an interesting compromise. You've got a strong, neutral, independent exchange, right. Controlling the business, but the economic interest is shared with market participants, and we have a board which involves the representatives of those customers. So that's where I guess for the LSE Group, owning Turquoise is a way to transform itself into a pan-European business in secondary trading, and also to transform its relationships with its key clients.
So how will Turquoise kind of then differentiate itself from the other MTFs? So you've got, I guess, Burgundy in the Nordic region. You've got Chi-X. You've got BATS. I guess Nasdaq pulled out, but so how will that be different from I can see how it's different from the national exchanges, but how will it be different from the other MTFs?
Well, I think we want to be bigger, faster, cheaper, provide better service. So Turquoise today is the third amongst the pan-European MTFs, and Chi-X I think has been the most successful in terms of its share of trading. They are the incumbent, if you like, and then BATS is modestly ahead of Turquoise, and we've set ourselves a very ambitious goals. We took a business plan to the board a couple of weeks ago, and we basically said, look, we're going to go from being 10-11% of the dark trading market to 25%. We're going to go from being 3.5% of the lit trading market to 12%, and we set out time horizons for doing those things. Now, we've already become the number one dark trading venue in Europe. We have approximately 30% market share now, after a bit of skill and a bit of luck. And so we're there on one of our goals already. And in the lit market, we recently introduced some pricing promotions, which are driving our share of trading higher, literally every day. However, the big thing that we need to do, I mean, those are tactical things. In terms of the big milestones in our business plan, the first is our migration onto a new technology platform.
So is that the new
this is the
Millennium
Millennium
IT?
Yes. So the LSE essentially has acquired an IT company, and Turquoise will be the first market within the LSE group to move onto that platform.
Oh, okay.
And we believe that once we're on there, and we plan to migrate later in the summer, in September, we believe we'll be the single fastest trading platform in Europe. We're already the cheapest of all the MTFs in Europe, and we hope we'll be able to provide a strong client service. So we think on all the terms which allowed the Chi-X to compete and grow, we think we'll beat them in every way.
Interesting.
One of those dimensions. That, however, is not necessarily sufficient. So we also plan to diversify, and bring, innovate, bring more services. So, for example, we're just launching U.S. equity trading. So we'll be, one of the only in fact, I think the only truly pan-European MTF, which also offers trading in U.S.
shares.
ADRs, in ETFs. So allowing natural arbitrage between those.
So will that be denominated in U.S. currency?
Yeah, U.S. currency, settling into DTCC just as if you had traded it in the U.S.
Oh, cool.
So modest, so it'll be a European rule book, so not
Right.
subject to Reg NMS, for example. So that's one type of innovation.
Wait, so not subject? No, I guess. Well, if you're trading, I guess off hours, it becomes harder to be subject to rural NMS. But will you still be regulated by the SEC?
No, we're regulated by the FSA.
Oh, okay. So interesting. So if all of a sudden the SEC makes a left turn with some regulations, that focus on the U.S. markets because of, whatever, the review, you won't necessarily be subject to those?
We don't believe we will. I mean, the FSA and the SEC certainly aware of what we're doing, and the
Okay.
FSA and SEC talk all the time.
Okay.
And we're not servicing U.S. customers. We service European broker-dealers.
Okay, so I can't all of a sudden, if I'm, XYZ US broker, just move my book to Europe and...
No, and we're not trying to compete for that business. And in fact, it's the U.S. laws prohibit overseas exchanges from providing direct membership to U.S. firms.
Okay.
So that's kind of a long-standing bugbear in Europe, is that European exchanges cannot directly approach U.S. market
okay.
participants. So we want to migrate onto this new platform, which will make us the fastest, hopefully, in Europe. And again, we remain the most competitively priced. And then we need to grow our membership base. And so, how do we go from 55, 60 members today to 100 members in a year's time? And the answer to that is it's a very sophisticated sales strategy, which we call buy one, get one free. Which essentially, because we're moving on to the same trading platform as the LSE is adopting for its core UK market, and we're moving into the same data center, essentially
You get
any
efficiency.
firm that's already a member of the LSE and has already coded to the LSE market, they've done everything they need to do to also access Turquoise. So what we're
Right.
saying is that you've spent all the money on the IT, you've joined the market, you've got the connectivity in place already. Why wouldn't you then also connect to
Link up
Turquoise?
to Turquoise.
Right.
Interesting.
So that's a big part of how we plan to grow our equity market. And we have obviously, unsurprisingly, a good strong pipeline of customers who are saying, great, the minute you're on Millennium, I'm there. And indeed, many of them are already in our test environment, proving their trading systems against our new platform, which
Cool.
has been available to test.
As commercial director, are you going to be able to make it commercially successful?
It's a good question. Yeah, listen, if we had 100% market share of all European lit trading tomorrow,
Right.
so if everybody turned off all
Everybody else.
arguments, which I obviously encourage them to do, our annual revenues at our pricing rate would be approximately 70 million euros, which is not a lot of money.
No.
Now there are, and most of the MTFs, well run with a tight cost base, you're still talking 10 to 15 million pounds a year of cost. And there's 28 such venues in Europe, and most of them have cost base far higher. So clearly, if you look at trading tariffs alone, there's not enough there to sustain the number of venues we have today. So we expect there to be very significant consolidation. And by being a very low-cost provider with tremendously scalable and flexible IT, we're essentially positioning ourselves to grow our share of the market and then to benefit from that consolidation. That said, we have to find other ways of making money, and I think there's a few things there. The first is we're hoping that if the cost of clearing come down and trading volumes grow,
Right.
that the revenue pool gets bigger.
Right. whole market gets bigger, right?
Right, so I think in that respect, we're allied with the other MTFs who are similarly trying to drive down those frictional costs in clearing and other areas.
Make the business bigger.
Right.
Make the business bigger.
Yeah. However, we've also just announced our intention to begin trading equity derivatives.
Okay.
And that's a market where you have a duopoly in Europe today, where there's really no true competition even between those two duopoly players. Where you have these entities, they own and control the IP for the index contracts,
Right.
and then they do trading, and then they clear through their own vertical silo, and there's no way in or out at any level. So they have captive customer bases, and their pricing has been very robust, perhaps unsurprisingly. And we believe the time is coming now where the market's saying, right, we've cracked it in trading. We've proved that competition...
equity trading.
In equity trading, we've proved that competition is driving down prices. And we can see now that we're making some progress in clearing.
And so now we're going to open it up to multi-asset class.
And now we have to look to derivatives, exactly.
Interesting.
And I think we've announced our intention to actually be one of the early movers in that space. And for Turquoise, what that means is that we'll be saying to our participants, here's another reason to be connected to or located in the LSE Group's data centers, because now in addition to the cash equity markets, we'll co-locate a derivatives market right next door or in the same data center.
Interesting. Well, very interesting insight from Turquoise. With that, I'm going to thank Natan Tiefenbrun, Commercial Director for Turquoise, me, Larry TABB, Founder and CEO of TABB Group, and want to thank you for joining.
Thank you.